can. What are you eating?
Apple?
No. Did your
Such a
face,
healthy
your
breakfast.
face, yeah, you look healthier.
Because I'm
I feel
eating
like,
Apple. Apple there
no,
keeps
Yeah,
whatever
did you lose
away.
weight?
yeah, you look like you
No, I
lost weight.
didn't.
You look like one of those like
You
Chinese,
lost weight,
like,
huh?
one of those Chinese, whatchamacallit, like live sellers now. Is June coming?
I like.
Joon, no, he apparently is on his grind. So he's going to some event for more pitching apparently. So we were just at Tech In Asia together, and he was hunting and fishing nonstop.
What's he pitching exactly now? It's a biofuel thing?
Biochar, yeah. So Joon wants to pursue this biochar idea with his partner from Antler, and so it's the idea is you get agricultural waste, you process it through a factory that he wants to raise money for, about $300,000 sort of for the factory, then plus more whatever for operations running, and then converts it into an actual char, and then you're supposed to bury it, I think, and then you claim carbon credits.
You know, I have a friend that does this, except he does it with like biomethane. So it's like you plug it into plantations, right? So they take the wastewater
Yeah,
essentially, and then they harvest
but
the
you capture it,
wastewater.
right?
Yeah, the capture, and then you can get methane out of it.
Yeah.
But it just seems like it's really hard to get any traction on these kinds of businesses, like because like for him, he needs to work with the plantation operators, and it just seems like these operators don't really care.
I mean, the
I,
nice part is that he has a small market for himself. At least I don't know if it gets him to profitability, but his own family plantation and the waste from their palm oil, so he could use that to start, I guess. And then I met an interesting girl who apparently has been in the industry for the longest time, from like 2017. Like June claims that everyone in the space knows this girl. They use bot flies to do the same thing. So they capture all the waste from like Sunway and all these kind of big restaurants and all these things, and then they use bot flies to convert it. But your scale and venture growth is tied to the number of flies you can manage, I guess. So it's a
But basically,
interesting idea.
they make money off credits, right? So the Malaysian government gives
That's
them
yeah. So
credits.
the long term play is built. Same thing. Built factory. Their conversion is bot flies, but then once you convert, yeah, then you claim credits. So this is the whole thing. Yeah.
So what kind of yield do you get
but
on this? If I spend $300,000 building a factory, right? Like how much can I claim
Yeah.
per year in credits?
That's so June was explaining this to me. I'm not the person. Like, it would be great to get June on here to pitch this idea, but
Yeah.
Essentially, it there was this one point in time where it was like all the worlds were like getting together to do this, right? But then apparently that kind of fell apart, and it's been like the dark ages, and it fragmented, and there's like only one or two governing bodies that are kind of recognized, but it's kind of like a free for all. Like anyone who's doing this in China technically can claim credits from any body, even if it's like not the official body. So it's like a little bit weird. So it's a little bit
What?
of that, and yeah. So
But so
I don't know.
wait, so this is not done by like the local government. It's done by like,
No, it's there's like these two main bodies that are kind of recognized, and it's a free for all. Anyone can sign up. It's like a marketplace, right? So I need credits because I'm burning carbon, and then the people who like capture the carbon
I,
can
I,
claim those credits. And there's like
I,
different varying qualities, right? And then there's
oh, when you
no
say credits, you
audit
mean
supply
carbon
chain.
credits. You're not talking
Yeah,
about the
carbon
government.
credits.
Oh, you're talking about, you're not like,
No
I think
carbon.
oh,
Yeah.
I think all these plantations, all these businesses only care about it when their customers, especially when their large
Correct.
customers,
Correct.
require them to care about it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Otherwise it's not top priority. But I don't know. Is that the reason why June is not here? Because he knew that he has to pitch to Dave.
Why does
No,
no one
I
pitch?
don't know. He's
Why does no
apparently
one
he's on
pitch to me? Do I have
he's
an
in some
invitation?
event somewhere. Well, it's not Dave. You're not gonna give him $300,000, are you?
No, I have way better things to
Exactly.
spend $20,000 on.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Dev can definitely help him solidify his pitch, right? I mean, say that, hey,
That's true.
here,
No, we all can. We all can. We all can do that.
here are the 500 holes in your pitch, and go and fix it. All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I mean,
interesting.
I already gave him feedback on his deck. It was a very noisy deck, and he just needs to focus it. But yeah, that's June. Maybe we'll get him back next time when he's not so busy. But like, he seems to be at least very focused on something, which is good. So I'm happy that he's doing something. Better than nothing.
Who's he pitching this to? I'm curious. No, I keep talking about you
He
once on here, but
tried
like,
all the local guys at Tech In Asia, but
yeah,
it's
then that,
so like
that's
so
lost
apparently
cause.
for Tech In, like like the gossip is that Malaysia is like the next hip place to be. Like people are done with Indonesia. They can't grasp Vietnam because they're not local enough. And so like VC money sniffing around, right? So it's very contrarian because no one's actually really deploying, right? So the idea is that it was supposed to be very hot and buzzy, but it didn't. I didn't get that vibe when I was in Tech in Asia. It just like
Well,
it was very, yeah. What?
sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying
No,
it's a very young crowd, and then the VCs were very. It's like you see some brand names, but like they're not like, I don't know. It was like, it was a weird vibe. I think it's just like very young, like because a lot of it was Antler crowd, so like all of Frank's guys, right? All the Antler dudes were around. That was like one
Oh,
big portion, so that was very young.
I
Then you
see.
had like a few anchor brand names, like Aerodyne was probably the most exciting
Yeah,
because that's like the biggest hit from Malaysia.
yeah.
And then a typical 500, all these guys that kind of anchor. It's like it's more for young people, right? So like it's like a good reminder of some things and maybe some nuggets of insights if you're willing to listen through like a very long, drawn out, low paced, monotone talk. So I didn't do that. It was Sitco was there, so Sitco gave me the insights. I tried to listen to Carsum and their story, and I'm just like, oh no, it's like it's good for the young guys, I'd say, right? So. But I met some interesting people. So there's like, if you sift long enough, you could find interesting things that people are solving and making meaningful traction towards something. Whether or not they can raise in this environment is a different story. But at least there's some progress, there. But it's like it didn't. I think it. I guess if you really want to follow that sentiment that Malaysia's the next hit, it's very contrarian. I think because I didn't feel it. At least maybe that's the wrong conference too. I don't know, right? Because there was a
Who told?
blockchain conference this week in Malaysia.
Yeah, who told you this story? Who fed you this
Just
narrative?
people
I'm
who
curious.
talking around from like investors in Singapore and founders, like some recruiters in Singapore, some people raising money in Singapore, talking to VCs. So apparently, I don't know how true it is. So, but yeah, that's what I got from the conference.
Well, I know whatchamacallit, KWAP, which is it's a fund that manages the
Government, right?
retirement funds of all the
Yeah,
government employees. Yeah, correct. They just
yeah.
announced I think I quite heard about this. They announced like I want to say like 2 or 3 billion ringgit, like co-GP fund where they're going to pick four GPs across three different asset classes. So
Oh yeah.
venture, private equity, and infrastructure. Sorry, no, it
Mm.
was it was PE, infrastructure, and real estate, right? And so each of these get like 400, 400, 400. So basically, like
Yeah.
each of the GPs, they will like anchor the fund at like 100 million USD, right?
But
And then
the
like they
mandate's only going to be purely Malaysia, right?
I think they have to deploy like at least
It,
60% in Malaysia, and then I think the other part
oh,
of
that's
it,
not bad.
because they're dude,
That's not
that's
bad at all.
still that's a lot. It's 1.2 billion dollars.
Well, it's
Like
very hard to deploy that in
60% of that
Malaysia.
in Malaysia, that's really difficult.
Yeah.
Well, you can do it,
Yeah.
just not efficiently. And then the other thing they were saying is it's called like an international GP slash co local GP model where they have to get like a probably like a more well known GP sponsor, and
Yeah.
then they have to work together with like a local, right? So I think the idea is to sort of like build up the muscles of the local VC scene. So I know that has been going. They announced that I want to say like May, right before I left of this year, and I think
Yeah.
they finalized the 12 that they're going to talk to, but they haven't announced
Yeah.
any names. It's not formalized yet, right? So that's I
well,
think something,
Yeah.
and I
Are
feel
you
like
guys
well,
familiar with? Sorry, Jianggan, go ahead.
Dev, I mean, if you have that amount of money in Malaysia, what I would do is not to invest in tech. What I want to do is
Oh yeah, of course not. Well,
find all those people who could be the next Mr. DIY and basically build 50 Mr. DIYs. I think there's enough talent to do that. Yeah, and I think Mr. DIY is now outside Malaysia, as I think doing pretty well elsewhere as well. So Malaysia has this. I mean, these few days I'm in Indonesia. I'm talking to lots of retail people. I'm talking to lots of F&B people, and I'm talking to lots of mall operators as well. And I think privately, everybody tells you that Malaysia has the best expertise in this, which is
oh, that's
weird because
probably yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
yeah, in Jakarta you see very sophisticated malls, but we talk to the insiders. They say that okay, these malls are nowhere as managed as effectively as and efficiently as the malls in Malaysia.
As
So
Malaysian, yeah.
yeah,
really,
so there's lots
who
of
told you this? That was
Quite a few
Probably
people.
probably on a retail level though, if you think about it, right? Because the consumer retail is quite outside of Thailand, Bangkok. It's probably quite developed. Like you could see, like the Zeus guy, the coffee guys were there, right? Like Coffee Kenangan from Indonesia, Flash Coffee, which is I guess still relevant, and then
I think.
yeah, of course, Zeus Coffee, which they're IPOing soon, right? And then like I think consumer brands are there's a lot of room for innovation, and we've been seeing it, right?
Zeus. I mean, we should have Joon here because he's a big fan of Joon's Spanish Vietnamese latte. But
Yeah, he's obsessed with
but
it.
no, no, but I mean, we have been studying Zeus because we've done a joint study with Lark, which helps them with efficiency. But when I look at this organization, when I look at a few other organizations out of Malaysia, they are run much more efficiently compared to some of the other chains coming from the rest of the region. And I do think that many of them would have a regional competitiveness. Now, I mean, this week you see, you heard of this Chinese brand called Chaji, which is big in Malaysia?
Yeah, it's big
No.
everywhere in Southeast Asia, no?
Yeah, so they broke up with their franchisee in Singapore, and they are coming on their own, and 3 mega stores. I mean, you should check out. It's huge. I mean, it's huge. But
Huge.
But Chargy tried Malaysia, tried Singapore, tried Thailand in the very beginning, and only Malaysia they had a competent team which helped them achieve where they are today.
Oh, yeah?
And when they look at
That's
expansion,
funny.
yeah. So there's some expertise here, and there's something that. But
Are
then
you sure
again,
it's expertise and not product market fit?
I do think that I look at the team; they are more competent,
Okay.
and obviously they have certain traits of the Singapore team, right, and professionalism.
Oh, true. Yeah. You did Singapore as well. Yeah.
And second, they don't have the sort of mindset of many Singapore businesses which just look at Singapore. So it's kind of weird combination because Malaysia you have much more diverse set of like a consumer base, right? And versus Singapore, which is, I mean, it's still diverse, but it's not as diverse as what you see in a larger country.
Well, if you want to go mass in Malaysia, you definitely have to target very different kind of mindset than probably what the operators are from their background, I guess.
Yeah, which is when
I mean, I
they
don't
try
know.
to when they try
You
to
understand what I
expand
mean?
when they try to expand to other countries in the region, and they know better how to deal with different consumer sets compared to businesses from Singapore. This is my argument.
That's probably absolutely true. A lot of Singaporean founders live in a bubble. So, I mean, like, actually, when I was in Tech in Asia, talking to them is very nice. But it's always this question, can they go beyond that comfort zone bubble when they have to expand? Because, naturally, they have to get out of Singapore if they want to get bigger valuations, bigger markets, right? So,
Yeah, the bubble is Singapore plus SBD in Jakarta plus BGC in Manila plus I don't know.
Bangsar.
Yeah, Bangsar is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, but going back to what Dave was saying earlier, are you guys familiar with the Hive?
The co-working space.
No, the VC Hive or Hive. Sorry, is it Hive only? Yeah. Apparently, it's a VC from US, but they've been in Malaysia for a while. So I was at a wedding and I met one of the principals, and then they have a similar structure to what you were talking about with KWAP. So they I think for maybe a few years ago were raising. It was very tough to raise the fund, but they ended up co-anchoring with Sunway plus the Hive plus some government like the Ministry of Finance or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they were able to raise the fund, but their mandate is like purely Malaysia only. And what the sentiment I was getting was what she was telling me was that they have not really been investing in new deal flow. They're just kind of doubling down and holding on and waiting. So I'm not sure what it is. Maybe I don't know. It's maybe risk off. Maybe they can't raise more. Maybe they're just being more conservative. I'm not too sure. But they're just not deploying as like say like a few years ago where they just would invest more.
But
So
okay, so if they don't deploy, how are they going to make their carry?
yeah.
You all have
So,
IRR hurdles. I don't understand if you don't
well,
deploy the
so they
capital.
also are. I think they're also building. There's like this AI. I didn't really understand it or look into it, like an AI academy thing, or maybe I could look at it real quick. So she's also running that while also deploying. So they're kind of like spread, which is interesting.
Sorry, but why would you run AI Academy in Malaysia? I
Why
don't
would
even
you
run
run
in Singapore.
Okay, I don't know if it's called academy. Here, I'll give you the name. It's called Al Nusantara. a co-creation between the Hive, a recipient of the Dana Penjana National Program. Key function serves a dynamic platform for R&D, incubating and accelerating AI projects. It's an accelerator for AI, I guess. So she's
Nusantara,
also running that.
that's a new capital in Indonesia, which might actually take place, but which might not. But I don't know.
Why wouldn't it take place?
There's a new government. You don't know. I mean, coming in October, right? You don't know what exactly will be the priorities of the new government because.
So that's why you're there. You're meeting the new party coming in, right? Got to set up your deals.
No. I'm looking at some of the consumer innovations here. So of course, it's large consumer market. There's lots of innovation about how
what's the sentiment to the people you're talking to? Are people still excited about Indonesia, or is it confirmed that their people are pulling back from Indonesia, or they don't care because there's just a big market and they don't need anyone else?
Oddly, the last few days I've not talked too much to the tech people, and I only met founders of 2 fintech companies, and I met a few MCNs, live commerce operators. I spoke with the people across the TikTok ecosystem. I think one thing which I find interesting amongst lots of entrepreneurs who back in 2021, 2022 raised their first like 2-3 rounds of money, and 3 people I met yesterday were telling me that I'm happy I'm making a profit now. So feels much at ease with myself. I'm glad I didn't sign on that VC deal last year. And they seem to be at peace with the fact that the business is profitable and that they don't have to listen to anyone who tell you how to scale and how to grow. And I said, what's next? And everyone can tell me that, okay, because they are focused so much on running the operations to make this operation sustainable, they discover other opportunities along the way. And would they go into these opportunities? Maybe not. But everyone's telling me that, okay, I mean, 3 years ago, I would make with my first round of funding, I will make like effectively 30-50 businesses out of my small setup because I want to do everything, I want to scale. But now I respect that things are complicated, operations are hard to build. So I just focus on this category, I just focus on this particular business model. I am making a profit, but I'm still only 10% of the market, and I believe that I'm more efficient than the others in the market, so I can at least get 30%. So this is the mindset I got from at least 3 entrepreneurs yesterday. As far as consumer spending is concerned, the funny thing is in Jakarta, because Jakarta is so big, when you go to different districts, you get a very different feelings, right? And you go to the sort of CBD area, the top malls, you see lots of retail spaces are empty. But when you go to the newly reclaimed island in the north, where there's lots of like Chinese F&B and stuff, it's super crowded. So potentially, I mean, the crowds are being drawn to different places compared to where they used to go to, and which also makes it difficult for people to form a proper assessment, right? I mean, it's a city of 30 million people, and there are multiple CBDs. So if you don't, I mean, spend enough time here, you don't get a real assessment. I remember back in 2017, was it 2017? Yeah, when I was in Jakarta, everyone says that Grab is bigger than Gojek. But now it's the truth. But back then, I think Gojek in Indonesia was slightly bigger than Grab. Why? Because everyone stayed in SCPD and Mega Kuning and Tamrin, and you see more Grab riders compared to Gojek riders in those areas. But if you go around, you see probably different picture. Same as when people go to Vietnam, right? I mean, they see, okay, they don't see Shopee food if you only go to Ho Chi Minh City. But if you go to Hanoi and you go to the alleys and stuff, you see much more Shopee food riders. So yeah, but overall, I mean, the country is as it is. Everyone's waiting for the new government. So lots of big initiatives are halted. And these few days, there's a big backlash against cross-border goods from China, because many of them have been imported without. I mean, in what you call the Borongan way, right? So it's the way that you import without proper like permit and license. You get a fee to bribe certain people along the value chain. So lots of goods were imported this way because some businesses, they didn't have the patience to do it properly, especially when you are at the trial stage or you are not a renowned business, right? You try to cut corners. So these few days, it's super weird. Yesterday I was at the restaurant, and it's a famous brand restaurant. I said, okay, They were telling me that they were short of plates. I said, why? They said, we ordered a few in China, but now the government is climbing down hard on ceramics imports from China. Even we try to import in a legitimate way, it takes much longer time. And garment and stuff. Then I went to read. It's actually there's real crackdown on garment and ceramics import from China in the last few weeks.
Interesting. What does that mean for then? Because I know you wanted to talk about. I mean, I have no clue about Temu, but what does that affect? Like, I don't even understand what Temu brings in a region because I don't even use. I still use the things that I'm stuck on. So I'm one of these old users that's stuck on this. So I don't understand this. Just using Shopee still, Lazada once in a while, right? I won't even ordain to think about Temu. Why? Like, I don't even understand the value. Like, isn't it the same Chinese import stuff then? Or from a product standpoint, people just like using it better, or they're subsidizing more, or
Dave,
I mean, it's the same thing in US too, right? Yeah.
I'm asking Dave, do you see Temu passwords around you?
I see the ads, but no one I know actually orders off of Temu. But that's also like
Bubble's different though.
It's a social economic thing.
Correct.
Because like the stuff on Temu is super cheap, right? Like you can buy like a shirt for like $5 or something like that, right? And so you know, if I use my personal like circle, then no. But as I understand, you know, it's been quite popular. I mean, they're certainly splashing a ton of cash, right? I think they took out, I don't know how much they took out, like a bunch of Super Bowl ads last year, and each of these Super Bowl ads is like $40 million per ad spot. So you know, if you don't have capital, if you're not, you know, if you don't have the reserves, you can't, you know, go buy a Super Bowl ad. Let me check.
They are the biggest. They are the biggest customer of Meta, and probably 4 times bigger than the next biggest customer.
So they're floating Meta stock.
And the next biggest one is Joon, in case you didn't know.
That's good. Money's coming back to America. That's great.
Yeah.
You know, we sent it there, and they're sending it back.
Look,
that's great. That's great.
If you look at the whole Temu business model, is that they squeeze the suppliers in China to give discounts to consumers in the US.
Yeah, sure.
That's the whole business model.
But this is nothing new, right?
It's almost like a Ponzi scheme. It's like circular. And then the U.S. just buys more stuff from China, and then they give it back to America, and we keep floating our GDP.
Yeah, but this is nothing new, right? They've been doing
inflation
this for
is
like decades at this point, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, the problem about the past decades is that it has never been done efficiently, and these guys are. I do speak with lots of people in the e-commerce ecosystem in China, and Pinduoduo at Temu's efficiency is crazy. To give you an example, to give an anecdote that somebody from a competitor, I will not name which competitor, but there are only so many like e-commerce platforms in China. They are saying that they are competing.
How many are there, Jianggan? How many are there now?
Yes.
Like
won't we name them?
3 or 4, but they said okay for Pinduoduo and Temu. So if the co-founders has an idea about a certain market, and they would do very quick calculation like mentally, and they were sort of check with each other, and then they will assemble a small team. They will do a test, and the test will give you some ROI numbers, and based on these ROI numbers, they will decide whether to double down or kill it.
Doesn't that kind of only work better in China only though? Okay,
that's only half the story. By the time that all this has been done and the decision has been made to whether scale it or kill it, managers at the competitor are still join the PowerPoint for the meeting to decide what they should decide on.
Sure. Well, so actually, how does this work? Because Temu in the US, just whose infrastructure do they piggyback off of?
Infrastructure, you mean the fulfillment infrastructure?
Yeah, like logistics, fulfillment, last mile, warehousing, all that stuff. Whose infrastructure are they using?
I mean, Temu in the US has 2 models, right? I mean, first is cross-border from China, and the second is goods sent from the US. And cross-border from China, they just use whoever all the logistic players. 3PL, yes. In the past, they used to have like a point-to-point, so basically outsource everything to one person which handles the first mile, freight forwarding, and last mile. But I think earlier this year they broke away from this model. They negotiated with people at the different parts of the value chain separately. In the past year, there are quite a number of Chinese businesses which have built large warehouses in Mexico as well as the US and Canada. So these people will help these companies store the goods, and last mile are done by different people. Definitely not FBO because Amazon first, not FBA, sorry. Amazon first is a competitor, and the second
Yeah.
is that there's no way you can do it with the Amazon cost structure. I think sending a parcel, I mean, fulfilling a small parcel from Amazon will take you at easily like $7 to $8, and while as many of the Temu parcels, no, many of the Temu items are sold for like $4, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm thinking, right? Because like you just look at this business, right? So the items are super super cheap, and then the margins on these because they're all commoditized products can't be that high, right? I'm guessing like
Yeah.
probably like what 20%, 25% gross
No, no, no,
margin,
no, no.
maybe
More
30
than that, more than that, more than that, more
gross
than
Has
margin.
to otherwise, yeah.
more than that. I mean,
What
so a
is it?
couple of things
What's
here.
yeah
I don't know the exact, but it depends on the categories you are in, and it also
Category, yeah.
depends on the scale you have for that particular category. Because these guys, I mean, when they started, they bypassed the sellers, right? They said sellers have been making fat margins on Amazon and shitty platforms like Wish. So they went direct to the manufacturers, saying that, hey, manufacturers, you send your goods to my warehouse, and I will sell it for you. I will handle everything from the time that you send to my warehouse. But I'm going to fine you if your goods are not of quality, etc., etc. So, so they do that. They control everything. That allow them to first handle the front end promotion, because in a normal platform, it's the sellers who are competing for customers' attention to the platform. For teams, they control everything, and that allows them to bundle their items. So the average items value is probably about $4, but I've been tracking the average basket size. I mean,
Oh,
to the US, that's between $32 to $35.
okay. That
That's
makes
something that
okay. I see. Okay.
many of the low-price Chinese cross-border platforms or sellers have never achieved.
I
what's
see.
the gross margin on that, right? So yeah, let's say like the basket's $30, right? So I mean, your payment gateway alone is going to probably take about at least a dollar or two because that's the minimum, right? So that's 3%, give it depends on what it is, and then after you take out like your packaging, your logistics, your picking and handling, and then the
Yeah,
actual like cost of goods, like what are you actually left over? Like 50 cents on the dollar, like 60 cents on the
but
dollar? What's that number?
I don't have the aggregate number. I have one friend who has done the calculation, and he's a firm believer that Temu as a whole has broken even in the second quarter. He probably has some sense because his largest position is in Pinduoduo, and he manages lots of money. So um, so if you think about the whole value chain, right? They bypass lots of people, right? They bypass the retailer, they bypass the distributor, they
Yeah.
bypass the exporter and importer, and they bypassed the seller, basically. They bypass the brand. So they went straight to the manufacturers. If you think about what consumers are paying versus what manufacturers are saying, and that's the margin they can play with. And of course, they will need to make sure that the cost is lower to consumers, so that they're competitive and they have to pay for all the costs. So initially, for certain, it doesn't make sense, but at some point in time, with certain scale, it probably starts to make sense for them.
No, I mean, I understand the model, right? I used to do a direct-to-consumer e-commerce business, so I am very aware of like how like all the different middlemen add up. I'm just questioning, you know, like I mean, what they've essentially done, right, is they've commoditized their supplier base. So they've aggregated all the demand and they've demand for like this one subset of like cheap goods, and then they've commoditized all the suppliers, and that's how they make the business. So I understand that, but I think the challenge here is like there's a lot of these businesses that exist, like these aggregation plays, but typically like with the other aggregators, right, they're able to move up the value chain into like more expensive or higher margin businesses, right? So like a good example is like Google, right? Google has commoditized all their suppliers. Google has commoditized everyone that creates content on the internet. You're basically a servant to Google, or a social media platform like Facebook, TikTok, Meta, whatever. You've commoditized their suppliers, and then you like aggregate the demand, and then you sell that off, right? But then like the thing with Google and Facebook is these guys have the ability to sell like number one, it's not a physical good, right? It's digital media, so the margin is theoretically infinite. on that.
Yep.
And number two, right, you're able to charge for like a lot of these, ad categories. If you're talking about like pharmaceutical, not pharmaceuticals, because you can't advertise pharmaceuticals, but like financial products, like insurance products, right? The margins on that kind of stuff is super high, right? You're talking like cost per CPAs of like $100 or more easily for some of these things. So I'm just kind
I,
of curious, like
I, th- I
how
think
basically it's a question of like what their CAC LTV ratios look like and like how sustainable this business is. Because like as you've pointed out, right, like it seems like every 2-3 years, like we cycle through to like a new player that kind of does a very similar thing, right? It was like Wish for a while, then it was like Shein for a while, then it was like Pinduoduo, now it's Temu, and then who knows what the next one's going to be.
Well, I think the point is like with each iteration there is some type of innovation, right? They just went further down supply chain. They have bigger margin to play with. But yeah, it's like a disruption of that. It just displaces a Wish probably, right? But it's the same segment. I don't think they eat too much into like a core Amazon user. I think they're different subsects of America.
That's not true. That's
So
not true, actually. So there's 2 points to that, actually. So number one, I think like, so actually, like I believe most, not most, but a lot of the sellers that they're digging into are actually the people on Amazon that were selling
oh
these like
yeah,
cheap Chinese
but
made stuff, except the ones that were selling Amazon is like 3 times the price. It's like exactly the same product.
oh, it's
And
the
then they
same.
were,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
those,
because there's the
it's a,
latest wave of Amazon's been flooded with Chinese goods but higher prices. Yeah,
yeah,
I
this is
forgot about that. Like
a
Amazon
significant
changed a lot.
percentage. Yeah, a
Yeah,
significant percentage of Amazon sales come from these people who are like the drop shippers,
yeah, yeah,
essentially, right? They go
yeah.
like
Correct.
scroll around
Fat
on like
margins.
Taobao or whatever, and they find some cool product in Asia. They find it, source it
Yeah.
in the PRC, and then they do the whole thing. And then they use Amazon as an entire
Interesting.
infrastructure, right? So they do eat a lot into this. But my point was, I just feel like this is like maybe a business. And Jianggan, this is a question. It's a hypothesis. It's a business that can only exist like in this particular moment in time. And what I mean by that is like contextually, right? If you think about like the Chinese economy and how bad it's doing right now, essentially, no one has real numbers anymore. But like from the unofficial numbers I've heard, it's a disaster, right? And so it seems like, or my hypothesis is, all these like Chinese manufacturers are basically desperate for business, and they'll take whatever they can get at this point. And they have like, so if you come in as like Temu, you have this like unique pricing power over
Leverage. Yeah,
them
big leverage.
and leverage that you may not have in like maybe a more normalized, um, you know, market condition.
Interesting.
What do you
Which means
think?
they have to convert that to a moat eventually.
fully agree, and I think this will last for a while. And maybe it's not correct to say that, but I think the economy will be bad for a long time.
You mean in the PRC?
Yeah.
I agree with you if that's the case. Yeah, I think it's really bad. Yeah.
So on the other hand, I mean, you have all this manufacturing capacity, which is not going to disappear. So they're going to find one way or another. They're going to find other markets, and all this like Shein, Temu, or whatever, who are coming in to help these people organize this kind of export of manufacturing capacity. And that's not the only thing. I mean, last 2 years, you see how many factories are building in Mexico. So you have different ways to help these desperate factories and manufacturing bosses to find growth in one way or another. I would say that maybe most of them will fail, but you will have a few who manage to actually do what Japan did in like 1990s, right? I mean, which is basically set up economy outside Japan because the domestic market can't handle it and you can't export the way that it used to.
Yeah, but yeah, no,
It's a
I
bit different
agree
though,
with you.
right?
No, I think. Well, but this, yes, that's the thing, right? Like you see this actually across industries. Temu is just like a retail version of this or consumer version
Yeah.
of this. You see this like all across the clean energy supply chain. Like what the big sticking point right now is basically the Chinese stranglehold on the clean energy, both in terms of like the processing and refinement of rare earth, but also like a common criticism is like they basically are able to manufacture batteries and panels at such a efficient cost that
They can dump.
international or it's not even dumping. I'm not sure if dumping is the right word anymore because I don't even think they're subsidized at this point. They may or may not be. I don't know. You have to tell me,
They still
John.
make money at
But
such
but
low
but
low prices.
but,
But they're so
you,
efficient
you,
now. Like I was
Yeah,
talking to a friend who
yeah.
does this, and he was saying that the Chinese panels are like 30% cheaper than like Western
That's
manufactured ones, And I'm
It's
like
insane.
walking around warehouses in America, and we have some tenants and some people that we know who are like solar installers and blah 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 whatever. And like you look and like all of their panels Chinese made, right? So you see this like panels, solar panels, the electric cars, the Chinese
So
electric car, import bans or tariffs are like a big sticking point political issue right now in the U.S. So I think this is I think it's just a
I
question of like they have to do it, otherwise the markets
yeah.
they can't the demand isn't enough in their domestic market and they don't expand their kind of growth, right?
The demand is not enough, and demand is depending on what kind of number you're looking at. It's either like stagnant or declining, right? So they have to
Yeah,
find a growth elsewhere. And we
yeah,
talk about
correct.
subsidy. A subsidy narrative is the same. I mean, it's the same what people are complaining about the subsidies of e-commerce platforms, right? I mean, Temu or
Yeah,
whatever, so paying lots of money. So the question is that how do you view this? I mean, this is business, which you need to take lots of capital to make it off the ground to reach a critical scale that you can actually be efficient or make sense at ongoing basis. And it's the same for the batteries and stuff, right? For the solar panels. Initially, you take lots of capital. I mean, that's in the form of subsidy, but not on an ongoing basis. At some point in time, when we reach critical scale, this thing can run on its own. You don't need to subsidize it anymore. So we talk about all the economy policies and US policies and stuff. I mean, we try to develop some critical infrastructure or critical sort of sector. I mean, initially you need to put in lots of capital, and the question is that who puts that capital, because it's risky and sometimes it has to be the state.
well,
Yeah,
it's
I agree
usually
with that.
this. It's usually the
Yeah,
state.
I mean, it has
Yeah,
Most technologies originate from
otherwise it won't.
like R&D labs sponsored by the government
yeah,
Yeah,
in one way or another,
yeah,
right? And the
yeah,
yeah,
commercialization
yeah,
is typically where like the VC comes in. So
yeah,
yeah.
it's usually the state. Like I think in 9 times out of 10, like you look at
yeah, yeah,
all like
yeah.
the major tech innovations, like silicon wafers, like semiconductors, the internet, mRNA vaccines, they all originated as like government-funded projects or research projects in one way or
Yeah.
another.
And there are a lot more projects which are being funded, which don't see any results, which are the
And
things
we don't
that
know
I
about.
mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
So private sector will not take this kind of risk, right? They're funding so many
yeah,
things, and
correct.
most of them will not see any results. You never know
Yeah.
which one will take off. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, it's a government thing. Science,
So,
science is like
so
the private sector is not good at funding science usually.
yeah, yeah. They have the government coming in, which basically sort of crowdfunded from every taxpayer to fund you guys to
Yeah.
diversify
Yeah.
risk.
People funding. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Before we move on to the last topic, Jianggan, have you actually have the operational information of how Temu operated in US? Because I'm very curious. Because I've been helping AG on and off Amazing Grace launch in US, and of course
Uh-huh.
this is a much smaller scale, and so like how they think about developing supply chain or which region to focus on will be very different from I guess a Temu. But I'd be curious to learn more from a more of like an intellectual perspective, like what kind of operational process, like where do they focus regionally? How do they think of customers? How do they, like, what the 3PL they pick is like, it, one 3PL maybe can cover all, but there's only a handful that probably could cover every region. And then I'm kind of curious where they would ship items into and what that kind of looks like. Do you don't have any of that information or?
Well, it's very different what they do compared to what consumer brand would do, right? First, I mean, they
Yeah.
have the skill. I sat in some of the negotiations that they have with some of the 3POs. Don't ask me why I was there. I mean, they come in saying that,
You're
hey, look,
everywhere.
here's our volume. And then the 3PO said, wow, that's like 40% of what we do collectively.
Yeah.
And then Timo said, okay, we'll look to double this volume in 6 months' time. Are you willing to play with us? Then the 3PO would say, should I do it? Because that would require me to expand my capacity. I would need to make an investment. But
We
there's
see
also
all the
risky
stories of, yeah. Go ahead.
because it's empty promise, right? I mean, if you sign a contract,
Yeah.
if they don't channel the
Yeah,
orders
yeah,
from
yeah,
me,
yeah,
I'm screwed. And
Yeah.
their team will probably say that, okay, dude, do you want to take it, or I go to your competitor? So that's a
Well,
discussion they have.
we see the squeezing on all fronts, from probably from the Chinese manufacturers to the actual workers who do delivery or the warehouse pickers, right? Like you see all those stories where those guys are like overworked and underpaid and like breaking their backs. So like
I don't
anecdotally seems to be true.
I don't believe that. I think they're
Yeah.
overworked. They're probably not overpaid. They're paid more than.
Okay. You do the job, then you tell me that.
Look, overworked, underpaid, that's slavery. And
Yeah.
and in most labor markets,
Someone's breaking their back for that margin.
in most labor markets, you don't have that. I mean, you have people who make their choices, right? I mean, if you said, okay, I have overworked, I'm underpaid, I might as well and go and become a food delivery driver, which means that I'm still overworked, I'm probably decently paid, I don't have social security.
They have freedom.
People make that kind of, they have freedom. People make that kind of choices. So I don't believe that people are enslaved.
I don't know.
The people who are really enslaved, not really enslaved, but people who are really in that situation are the manufacturing bosses in China, not the workers. Workers can choose to
those
walk away.
factory guys. Yeah, that's
Those
true.
factory owners, they are in a very precarious situation because I have to make sure that I attract workers. I have to make sure that my machine is still running. I have to pay off my debt. I have to service the mortgage for that piece of land that I bought. I thought we would appreciate. And then I have Temu.
I don't know if those workers will agree with you, but
and then I don't know how much seriousness I should take about. I mean, whether people agree with you or not, because people are always grumpy about things.
oh well, I'm just talking from a fundamental perspective. But yeah. Anyway, that might be a nice segue because I guess our last topic is what, the elections. Do you guys want to talk about that or no?
Well, I can talk about it. Whatever. Okay.
No, I mean,
What do you want to know?
I mean, it's more like let's frame it this way. Like Jianggan as an outsider has a lot of questions probably, and let's
I have one question.
give our opinions to him.
I have one question. I have one question. Did Biden really want to stick around, or he calculated that that he will wait until a moment that Trump's momentum has been exhausted before he passes over to
Sounds
to
too conspiracy,
Kamala Harris?
right?
Where do you think? Where did you get this narrative from?
I mean, you just look at timing, right? I mean, so Biden confidently chose Vance. Sorry, not Biden. Sorry, I mean, I'm becoming like Biden. Trump
chose Vance.
Trump chose Vance, and they have all the confidence, etc., and they have directed all their sort of energy towards Trump being towards Biden being frail, old, and stuff. And they, at this point in time, you suddenly see it. And even before that, he was saying that, okay, I'm going to run and stuff. Did he really mean that, or it was smoke?
Jianggan, I really appreciate how much credit you give our political class. Like you give them,
Is that House of Cards level stuff?
Yeah, when you're describing some like really Machiavellian 4D chess shit, you're giving them way too much credit. These guys don't know their heads from their asses.
I'm with Dave on this in terms of Occam's razor for sure.
You're giving them way too much credit. No. I mean, the guy like clearly wanted to be president, right? Like he
really wanted to stay, and it was really the others who have convinced him to step aside, not the others colluding with him.
Sounds about right.
I think the big money forced him out.
Yeah, it's probably big money. Yeah.
This is like what's often underreported. Well, it's obviously changed now, but like so back when Biden was still in the election and all the polls were showing that they were neck and neck. What they didn't actually normalize for was the fact that the Biden campaign was outspending the Trump campaign like 5-1.
Oh wow.
Yeah, well, I can tell that because like I'm home. I'm in Wisconsin, right? Wisconsin is a battleground state. It's like one of the 5 states that matter, right? You turn on the TV every single day for like May, June, July.
Slamming it
Was just Biden ads. It was like literally every other ad was either a pharmaceutical ad or a Biden ad. Nothing
That's
else.
America for you.
That's America, which is what America is now, right? Zero Trump ads, right? So you consider that, right? You're outspending someone 5-1, and you're barely tied, and you're still losing actually in a lot of polls, right? And then after that debate, the one what was like Joon, they were saying like his fundraising numbers just like went off a cliff. It was like 25% of like what a normal month would be. That's just untenable. You can't win a campaign that way. It doesn't matter like who you are. They're the guy. yeah, if you're like already losing and you're spending like allowed spending 5 to 1, and then you have no money and no one like really believes in what you're saying, then like it's impossible.
Writing's on the wall, I
Yeah,
guess.
right on the wall,
But
right?
but
And so
but 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 even with that, you can still make a calculated move over like a 2 months time to because I look at the facial expression of Biden during the debate, and he
What
seems to be
expression?
it was terrible. It was really bad.
he seems to be morally shocked by what Trump says, right? I mean, you see all the like shaking heads and stuff.
Okay.
It seems that that's a person with strong morals.
Well, he has his principles for sure.
Yeah, and I think he is someone who would probably sacrifice himself to prevent Trump from winning, and his own prospects.
Well, I mean, ultimately he was forced into that decision, I guess, right? I mean, it's probably goes hand in hand.
Yeah, probably hand in hand. I don't know. I'm just throwing some observation I have. Maybe there's something deeper behind it. Maybe not. I don't know. But it seems to me that things are done in a certain way. This might be done in a certain way. I mean, that's how most voters make decisions, right? I mean, they're based on what they believe.
What's your problem with? Dave, I'm curious about Dave's problem with the choice of Kamala Harris. Why don't you like her?
Oh, this is going to get me in trouble. I can't say half the things I want to say about Kamala Harris.
That's probably true. Well,
especially
give us the
when-
light version, the diplomatic version.
The diplomatic version is she really doesn't have much of a track record as VP to stand on. Like none of her portfolio.
But isn't that because like the party forced her to be that position because Biden wanted to keep going? Maybe that was like the whole point. Like make sure she doesn't do anything. Like, it's
let
like
me
a
just
calculation.
let me just put it this way. Let me just put it this way, right? Like, what is a politician's core objective? Like, if you're a politician, what's your core incentive in life?
To get reelected.
Yes, thank you. Correct. To get reelected.
Yeah.
That's actually what one
Yeah.
does. Not to govern, not to lead.
Yeah,
not to
that's
administrate.
what they optimize on always.
You optimize to get reelected, right? So here's
Yeah, correct.
and this is factual information. We have one of the least politically talented politicians in mainstream America. Like during the primary last cycle, she didn't even place. She didn't even get she was literally dead last. Like the Democratic primary was like 10 people or like 12 people, whatever the number was. There was a lot, kind of like Republican primaries this time around, right? There's a lot of contenders, and she was ranked dead last. Like, so we're talking about someone that's like incredibly uncharismatic, like incredibly unlikable, right? So to be fair, this was 4 years ago. Maybe she's got more polished. Maybe she's better. And like, I think in any normal election cycle, if her opponent was not Donald Trump, she would just get demolished. But because Donald Trump brings out such visceral feelings, either way, you either love him, really love him, or you really hate him, right? And everyone that just couldn't conscience voting for a zombie, because that's what Joe Biden was.
It's
finally
voting for against,
Yeah, right. It was never a affirmative
Vote for.
action for Biden. It was just an anti-vote for Trump. But now she kind of represents like a new opportunity for people to like rally behind something. So I'm honestly at this point like looking at sort of like just how things are going here. I'm actually open. I don't have a preference. I think I had a preference between Biden and Trump. Between Biden and Harris, I'm not sure I have a preference.
Interesting.
You know?
Okay. Maybe she has a track record from her time in California as a prosecutor,
which is also one of the worst track records of any DA. You know, so like she number one, she's sort of like positioned as like someone that's like
what's your KPI for that, and what's the culture of California? These things kind of matter, right? She's
black incarceration
mandate
rates.
For people of California.
No, so she has the highest black incarceration rate of any district attorney.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
And she's like
very anti-California.
She's represented as like a pro-minority candidate. No. Well, it's like
she is a minority.
No, but that's not my point. It's tokenism. Like a lot of her people don't like to I think, say
I think
this.
so. Yeah, I
But
think that's why they put a
a
VP.
lot of the
Yeah.
candidates, yeah, this is what rubs me wrong. It's like a lot of the candidates is tokenism, right? It's like here's someone that looks like you, sort of like you both have like Oriental features and blah blah blah. Therefore, you should
That's how
support
our
her.
monkey brains work, though.
And if you don't support her, therefore you must be sexist and or
Oh,
racist and or a
oh, I
homophobe
see.
or some version of this, right? Which is like no, there's like legitimate policy positions that I don't agree. Also,
Interesting.
when she was DA, her office suppressed evidence that would exonerated innocent people. So she kept innocent people in jail. So that's her record as DA. So
What's her? Put it this way. What's her good stuff then? Let's balance it out. What is good
she's
about
not
her?
Donald Trump.
Uh,
Okay.
She's not Donald Trump, and she's not 80 years old. So those are And
That's a very important one. That's a very important one.
this is how low the bar has been. It's like not 80, not Donald Trump. I'm like, okay, maybe I can consider this.
From an outsider point of view, I probably don't care about this track record and stuff. What I do care about is that, I mean, if she becomes the president, I mean, of course, we don't know the VP candidate yet. What would likely happen at the international arena versus
She's going to follow the party lines, right? She's not going to do anything radical, right?
Yeah.
She'll just continue.
She's a party. It'll be a continuation.
She's a party person.
Of the Biden administration.
Yeah, correct. I don't think there'll be anything.
So you mean the policies will be more of a status quo, which is not good?
Correct. Well, it depends on who you are.
Depends for who. Yeah. Like, who are we talking for?
if you're like a true populist, it's probably pretty bad for you. But if you're like a capitalist, unless you're a Silicon Valley capitalist, in which case it's probably not great for you, right? Because she'll keep Lina Khan. Well, actually, arguably, even if Trump wins, JD Vance is on the record as being pretty pro Lina Khan, so there's actually a chance that they would keep Lina Khan either way. But that's
what. Wait, but what is that? Why? What do you? Why is it? Why does he have the sole discretionary power to decide that, or what do you mean?
Because they're appointments. They're appointments.
Oh, from within the Senate.
Yeah, no, they're appointed by the president. Like the head of the SEC, those are appointments.
Yeah, from the president. So, but what does Vance have to do with that?
You think Trump's going to govern?
Oh, I see. But I thought I saw a headline recently where Trump was thinking about getting rid of Vance or something.
I don't think he can. I think if he got rid of Vance,
it's too late.
Yeah. I think it's too late. I don't think he can.
I mean, I don't follow this, so I don't care.
No, I don't. I don't. Well, I mean, honestly, at this point, who knows? The guy got shot like 2 weeks ago. So at this point, anything can happen. Right?
The machine is having. Every time I open my news app, it's just pictures of Donald Trump's ear now.
Oh my god, this has been the craziest election cycle.
It's just crazy. Yeah, this is like La La Land, man.
Yeah, it's like someone wrote the story, right? Maybe.
Like ChatGPT wrote the story and it just happened.
Do you guys think?
Anyway, to answer your question,
elections?
if Kamala Harris comes into power, it will most likely be a continuation of existing policies.
Yeah.
Do you think lucky draws are better than elections?
Lucky draws? What do you mean, like the lottery?
Yeah, lottery. Like you have two candidates.
Like we just pick some random guy to be president, like anyone?
No. I mean, of course, you have a selection scheme that you set a qualifying criteria, which based on this criteria, only like a handful of people will qualify. They run lottery.
I don't know. Very hypothetical. But that's kind of what we have now. It's literally what we have. You have a selecting group of people, and they give you like a choice of like 4 people that they've picked, right? Like these are your 4 candidates. You might not like them, but bon appetito. Right? So this one seems okay. It's not that different than the current system actually.
And at the end of the day, there might be like a minor event which defines the outcome, right? Which is
exactly. So that's kind of what you.
That's true. Yeah,
what you described this already.
What basically just happened in the past few months is pretty much that, right? So much change.
Yeah.
So that is what I've been saying, right? I mean, so you get the same sort of randomness in selecting results, but you reduce the cost by a lot.
No.
The cost can be used to I don't know increase solar manufacturing in the US.
Yeah, no, but you got to give people like the illusion that they have a decision that they're actually choosing, right? Even though in this particular case, like
Yeah.
there was like on the Democratic side, there was no choice. No one actually got a chance to choose. They were like Biden was appointed by the party, and Harris is also appointed by the party. So there's not much democracy going on right now.
It's the algorithm chose for you basically.
Well, the
I can,
party did.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
party.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm saying
the-
by personal choice if you're to vote. You've been split either one way on either side.
all right.
All right.
um,
Well, I'm
yeah,
not looking
so-
forward to this election, so
I'm enjoying as much as I can from outside of all the dramas, but yeah. So really brace for the
Dave.
impact of whatever results they may have. Yeah.
yeah. When you're back, do you want to do election party? We can get everyone together and we can watch what happens and get drunk.
It's gonna be at like 8 a.m. in the morning, but sure.
Yeah, exactly. Great way to start the day.
Well, 10 a.m. I guess 10 a.m. By the time
Yeah,
the,
whatever,
the
10, 9, 10,
results
yeah,
start coming in. Yeah, no, I'm down. I'm down to have an election party. That sounds fun. Like I don't.
All right, let's do it.
But I can't talk about it anymore. I've been banned. Uni has banned me from talking about the election.
It's too derisive. It's no point. Also, it's beating a dead horse at this point, right? So
Well, like I said, given these two choices, honestly, I think Kamala is actually better. Honestly, I think just Donald Trump, like he's just too divisive. I
Yeah.
finally got to the point where he's just like he just
it's a little much.
It's too much. It's honestly too much. Right.
Yeah, well, because it's like I don't know if you want to keep this in, but it's like you almost went to see the brouhaha when the RNC held the event in Milwaukee, right? And then you had to think twice actually. So that's a bit.
Well,
a bit
those
weird,
because yeah, it's the day before Henry shot. So
Yeah.
yeah,
You don't want to see a minority in a group of those people.
No. It wasn't that. I don't think anything would happen. It was just like I didn't want to deal with like all the actual security.
the
and the
crazy.
traffic.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I see,
But then
I see.
it ended up being like there was basically apparently no one was there because
Yeah.
everyone was probably in the same train. I was like, oh no, I don't want to be a part of this. So no one was actually. It was pretty quiet from what I understand.
Okay, guys, I need to
Alrighty.
head off. I have a full day of Jakarta traffic ahead of me. Yesterday I spent only 5
Yeah, you
hours.
have
and
4 hours
today will
of
be
minimum traffic today. So, all
5
right,
hours
guys,
yesterday.
good
Today's
episode.
Friday.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
enjoy.
prayer day too, even worse. All right, guys, good
Okay.
episode. See you later.
See you.
Bye. Yeah, I'm not sure what. Do they grow apple in tropics? They don't, right? So
No,
the
it's
apple probably
imported.
comes from somewhere else.
No, yeah, it's all imported.
So
Yeah,
that is
they don't
probably
grow.
local.
Chiku, right?
What's that? I never knew what this
Chiku.
thing called. I kind of like
Chiku.
it, but chiku, right? Okay.
I think that's the Malay
don't-
word. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, in Chinese, it's called something like the snake skin fruit or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snakeskin fruit.
Where are you, Dave?
I am in Wisconsin still. I'm here.
You're in a different room.
Yeah, I changed rooms. The Wi-Fi connection is better here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not in that big library room.
No, I'm not in the library right now. I'm upstairs in like the second office.
Second
So do-
office. Wow.
Second office, yeah. It's in the second office.
So,
Is
so
Joon
do you
coming?
have food delivery where you are now?
Do you have food?
Food delivery.
Yeah, of course. I'm in America. Why would I have food delivery? We have everything.
I don't know. Okay.
You're talking about like tech platform food delivery or just like regular local food delivery because they have all of it.
Yeah, we have it all. We are in the heart of food delivery.
Yes. Why do you think America's so obese now?
Yeah, why do you think everyone's so fat here and on Ozempic?
So do you actually get food delivered to your house?
No, I either eat out or just because I'm in my parents' home, so it's eat what they cook.
Good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Suburban life.
Yeah, suburban life.
Eat what mom cooks.
That's exactly what it is. Eat what mom cooks.